la la.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Corey.
And we are the hosts of Cartwright, a Seinfeld podcast. We are breaking down every single episode of Seinfeld as we watch it, reliving this amazing show.
That's right, it's a trip down memory lane for all of us 90s kids out there. You can find Cartwright, a Seinfeld podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, and Patreon.
La la la.
The Blast from Our Past Network.
Hello and welcome back to Action Action, the podcast that watches every fucking action movie. We put them on a great big list. We're ranking these things as we go. I am Dustin, and I'm joined, of course, as always, by my co-host James.
Oh, yeah.
And we are part of the BFOP network. And we're going to get into some Death Wish 3 in a minute here. But, you know, how you doing, James? What's going on? What are we doing here?
I'm doing pretty good, I've been up to some stuff.
Oh, yeah. Stuff,
yeah,
eh?
doing things.
Nice.
We're recording a lot in compressed time frames, so I don't have a whole lot to share, but I did watch the movie you recommended, Bottoms.
Yeah. The comedy there.
And it was quite enjoyable.
Yeah, you liked it?
Yeah, it was funny.
It's so goofy.
It's so goofy and weird, but it's what I really enjoyed is what can I relate it to? It's like, Dustin, you strike me as a fashionista.
Oh, definitely. It's the assless chaps, I assume.
Oh, well, don't even
with the rhinestones.
Don't even get me on assless chaps. Aren't they just called chaps? Like, that's the whole thing. Aren't chaps just...
Here we go.
Why do you have to say assless?
I'm sorry I brought it up.
Okay. Anyways. Okay. Fashion week, they got these weird, exaggerated shoulders and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be like what fashion is, but exaggerated. And like in this movie, you have all these stereotypes, but they're exaggerated,
yeah.
Right? Like the football team wears all the football gear all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I love it. It's so funny to me.
Yeah. Everything's like heightened to this funny, weird level. And especially like at the conclusion of the movie, like, I won't go into it, but like,
yeah,
it gets really silly.
Yeah.
But,
it gets really silly. So it's funny. It was quite enjoyable. Definitely recommend.
Nice.
And that's about it, really.
Yeah. Not too much watching.
Got
to save some for the other episodes we're recording.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, I did watch a few things myself. I watched the Royal Rumble. We just had that Royal Rumble from the non-controversial WWE company.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
Nothing going on over there, so don't look it up. But no, I watched the Rumble. I watch the Rumble always because it's usually one of the more fun events for me every year. This one wasn't the greatest. I thought the women's Rumble, they've been doing a women's Rumble and a men's Rumble match now for, I don't know, 5-6 years, something like that. Mm-hmm. I thought the women's one was actually really good this year. That one was a fun match.
I thought you said it was good last year too.
It might have been, yeah. The women's one was like well paced, and it told some stories during the course of the match, and had some fun spots and all that, some fun surprise entrance and everything. And then the men's one was just like so boring, so flat. Nothing exciting happened.
It's because you have the American Nightmare in there.
Oh, well, he won the whole thing 2 years in a row.
Oh my God.
First person to win 2 in a row since Stone Cold in the late 90s. So
what a fucking loser. He is.
You hate this guy so much.
He is no Stone Cold, I'll tell you that much.
No, he's not Stone Cold. I don't hate him like you do.
I hate him. I just think, yeah, people want him to be like the fucking star, the super top. And I get it. People like him for some fucking
is right now.
reason. I think he's an idiot.
Came down to him and CM Punk as the last two in the match. and he tossed old Punker over the over the ropes there. Now Punk was supposed to have a big match at WrestleMania, but tore that tricep in the Rumble match, so he's out again.
What a bitch!
I think what happened was, he took off like 7 years when he quit wrestling and he walked out of WWE.
Right.
I think his body just can't hack it anymore. Now everyone gets older, and of course, but I think the guys who kept doing it all along, their bodies are like conditioned to it.
Yeah.
And you take these hard bumps and everything. Punk, he just keeps getting injured like everything he does. So I don't know. But anyway, there you go. Cody Rhodes was your winner.
That's brutal. Like, that's so
lame. Crowd loved it.
Why? Okay, what is so appealing about this guy?
Well, I will say he's extremely well spoken, and in fact, they did like a press conference after the event, and like him and Triple H, who is like in head of creative there now and stuff, and one of the CEO people, they were both interviewed, and they were like both were asked about the Vince McMahon shit. And Cody Rhodes had a much better answer and much better spoken answer than Triple H did. Triple H was like, "Oh well, it's just been a great week for us. We just had a Netflix deal, blah blah," and just like glossed over everything. I was like, Jesus, really, like just the company kind of line stuff. But anyway, he's got a babyface appeal. I can see it. I've never loved him, but I don't know. He's good on the mic.
I don't know.
People I think take him. I don't know what he was not doing in AEW, but in WWE he's like coming across more authentically somehow. I don't know, but
I don't know how it's possible. I think he's just.
Well, I didn't like what he was doing in AEW either. I was like, come on, man, like this sucks. But for some reason, it's working in WWE.
Whatever.
Like, screw this guy.
Yeah, I hear WWE's going to Netflix. Next
Raw
year.
is. Yeah, Monday Night Raw is.
Oh, Raw.
And then I think the network in other countries will be on Netflix as well, because in America it's already on Peacock,
right?
But we don't have Peacock, so I think in other countries it'll be on Netflix, like the old content and stuff.
Right.
So
crazy.
Anyway, yeah. And then I watched all 3 episodes that have come out of Monsieur Spade.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah,
so what do you think?
I'm enjoying that. First I was like, this is a little slow.
Right.
First episode took a little while to hook me in, but
it's a slow burn.
Yeah, but Clive Owen, he's great. You start to really like him, the way he's playing the character by the end of the first episode.
Yeah.
His interactions with the French cops and stuff are really good.
So his interaction with I guess he's the chief in town. I don't know.
Yeah.
But with let's just say inspector. With the inspector, I like that because it's like classic old timey. You have like he's like a friend, but also
frenemy.
Yeah, frenemy, right?
Yeah.
Combative.
Yeah.
But then you have like the dumbass sidekick cop, right? His brother.
I love that dynamic.
It's great, and the fact that he can't speak English makes it even better.
He pisses him off all the time.
But I really enjoy what Scott Frank has done with the Sam Spade character, because like within the first episode, you like completely strip away all this like masculinity and like how tough he is by having a doctor stick his finger up his butt.
Yeah.
And like,
but then he still has him be tough when it's needed. And
I know, but
scenes
but it's like all this questioning of like, oh, I've heard stories about you. Are they even true?
Right.
Right.
There's some kind of myth about him or whatever.
So it's kind of, I like it. It's building it up like, I don't know. Is it true? Like, let's see.
Yeah, and kind of a weird mystery too.
It's very weird.
Yeah. So
I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. So interested to see where that goes, but yeah, I'm liking it so far. A couple movies I did watch. One was Ghost Story, which was a 1981 horror movie. This was based on a novel by a guy named Peter Straub, who died last year. Actually, it's up there on my bookshelf, the pile of his other books. Really love the book. So the movie had kind of a lot to live up to. It has some really cool, like, rotten corpse effects and practical effects and stuff in it. It's really a wintry horror story. But I don't know. It's just kind of something weird about the movie. It didn't really come together for me. A lot to try to put into 1 2-hour movie. It's not even 2 hours, but it's got all these old timey guys like Fred Astaire, Melvin Douglas, Douglas Fairbanks, and John Houseman are like these main characters. It's because the book is about these old men who have like a kind of a club where they get together. Something terrible had happened with them in their past, and it's kind of still haunting them to this day. Mm-hmm. And one of their sons gets involved. Not terrible, but can't say I loved it either.
Right.
Last thing I'll mention is leading into today's movie, I decided I would watch another canon Charles Bronson film called Murphy's Law. This is from the following year, from Death Wish 3, 1986. This was a lot of fun, actually. It was directed by J. Lee Thompson, he's done a few of these Charles Bronson flicks like this. He did 10 to Midnight. He also directed Death Wish 4, The Evil That Men Do, Kinjite Forbidden Subjects, which is a fucking wild movie. But he did a lot of these canon later Bronson movies. And this one was pretty fun too. It's like he's a cop. He's a total drunk. Somebody starts killing people. Somebody kills his wife, his ex-wife, and her boyfriend, and he is framed for it. And so he breaks out of jail with this girl who had tried to steal his car earlier in the movie. She's hilarious in it. She like has all these insults that she slings constantly at him. They're like handcuffed together, so it's like one of those things. And she's calling him like snot rag and dildo face and butt crust and all this kind of weird, like a Bart Simpson almost kind of thing. It's fun. It's a fun movie. And then like when you find out who the killer is, it gets even weirder and more fun. It's I won't say what in case people want to watch it. It's out there. It's on Tubi, but
I'm gonna check it out.
It's got a weird killer, and it goes in a weird direction that you don't expect, because at first you think he's after these mob guys, but it gets weirder after that.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, so Charles Bronson time. So let's get into today's film. We are talking about the canon classic, Death Wish 3. We're skipping Death Wish 2, going straight to Death Wish 3. Let's hear a trailer.
Charles Bronson, Death Wish 3. First, they took the streets. Then they took it all. But their next target may be their last victim. Charles Bronson, where there is no justice, there can only be vengeance. Charles Bronson, Death Wish 3.
Now playing. Consult your listings.
All right, so Death Wish 3, 1985, directed by Michael Winner. This stars, of course, Charles Bronson, Deborah Raffin, Ed Lauter, Martin Balsam, Gavan O'Herlihy, Kirk Taylor, Alex Winter is in this thing. Yeah, so a canon film. Now, personally, this is one of my favorite canon films. It's when I watch a canon movie, this is what I want it to be every time, this kind of thing.
Why is it your favorite? You just like killing people?
Oh, yeah. I love killing people. I love seeing people killed.
All about guns and, cleaning up the town.
Yeah, you got to clean up the streets, get rid of this riffraff. Well, we'll get into all that. But, James, had you seen this movie before?
So, I have seen it before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the one that I've seen. Like, I think I've seen it like twice before this.
Oh, wow.
But the other Death Wishes I didn't see. Like the first one I never saw until we did it on the podcast. And, I think it was early on and I just kind of glazed over it, this one. I can't remember how I even came across it because I can't imagine this being on TV. But I feel like it was something like that. I don't think it was on TV, but it was something just kind of on, and that's how I watched it. But yeah.
So I didn't know you had watched this one before. Yeah, this is when the series kind of takes a more fun, quote unquote, turn, because the first movie is pretty grim.
Yeah.
And kind of murky in its political views and stuff. And the second movie is kind of just like, let's do the first movie again, except in LA.
Right.
And it's also pretty grimy. And not that this movie is without its, offensive violence and stuff, but this one is more like just crazy. So then it kind of feels not as, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like, so this one, I don't know, is there political undertones in this one?
I mean, no, I feel like it moves more solidly into the, like, okay, we already know that this Paul Kersey character from the first two movies, we know what he's about. In the first movie, he was like sort of a pacifist guy.
Right.
His wife and daughter are like raped and murdered, and then he goes around and just shoots criminals. He doesn't even like really shoot the guys that killed them because he doesn't know who they are. He just kills.
He just kills
any
random
like
people.
criminal people that he comes across in New York City. And then second movie, similar setup. He has a new girlfriend. He's living in LA with I think a different identity, and then she is of course raped and murdered. And then he goes on another thing, killing, and that one's kind of, I almost prefer it to the first one just because it's like the fun, sleazy LA 80s backdrop. But this one, he's back in New York. He's back in the big apple here. And I love this version of New York. We just talked about The Crow with the gross city.
The grime.
This one is like a lot of daylight, but it's still like, looks like a fucking war zone, and the difference here is that was a set in The Crow, or like using specific streets and alleys and stuff. This is like this is a whole neighborhood. This
is real.
This really existed. Early 80s New York City. We're talking about they're living in these buildings that are like falling apart. There's trash everywhere. There's all these fucking, of course, the movie, they've got all these punk wastoid characters everywhere.
Yeah, but
also there's like, I don't know. There's like dirt streets to where these apartments are.
Well,
like it's not even paved.
That's the thing. Like I was trying to like look at the building because there's the one building that he's staying in, right, which has the dirt road out front.
Yeah,
and I'm just trying to like look on like how this is all laid out, and it's not making sense to me, like why it would be laid out in this particular way, but. It's just like there is so much for you to look at with the grime and the abandoned cars and all this graffiti and stuff that at some point I'm like, I'm pretty sure this stuff is just there.
It's just there. It's not even like production stuff. It's just,
there's no way it's production stuff, or else whoever did all this graffiti on the wall, they did an amazing job, right?
I think that's true. I feel like, or at least it feels like, hey, let's just go to the slums and shoot a movie kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we have Paul Kersey. He's back in New York. He's going to visit an old buddy of his. Right when the movie starts, it doesn't waste any time.
Yeah. He's
like phoning his buddy on the phone from the airport, but he's not answering because right at that moment he's being like mugged and beat up by this gang of
I like this idea
punks.
This guy, like, okay, yeah, we're in the third movie, so this guy, we don't need to know anything. We just need to get right into it.
Let's just go.
Let's just get.
That's the canon way.
Yeah, it's just like he instantly lands, and it's like, of course, he's visiting his buddy, and he has to die, right? And then this propels the whole story, and I like that he gets arrested for his murder,
right off the bat, because he shows up as the guy his friend dies.
Yeah,
the punks are gone already, and throughout the movie, the cops are always like trying to hassle like the old people that live in the building who aren't criminals, and like they want you to be as like mad about the situation as possible, right?
Yeah. So like talking about that for a minute, where the two cops come and they're like, yeah, we need the gun. There was a complaint about your gun, right? And it's like, okay, so are these cops on the take then?
I don't think it's that they're on the take. I think, well, I mean, it could be, but I think my impression is that they don't want to face the gang members and try to bust them for anything because they'll get murdered. So they just go and like, they're being pressured from above. Like, you got to make arrests in this neighborhood. You got to like take people down, whatever. And so they're just like, oh, well, let's we can hassle the old people and they're not gonna do shit. But if we come up against the gang, they're just gonna like slaughter us.
Fucking typical cops.
Not even earning their damn paychecks. But yeah, when he comes in and gets arrested, and then he's taken to the police station, and they're just like beating the shit out of him in a chair and stuff.
Love it. It's awesome.
And then Ed Lauter comes in. He's playing like the chief or whatever in this movie, Inspector Richard Schreiker. And he beaks off to him. So then he just like smacks him in the face and like punches him. It's like, he's like, you don't got any rights. You got whatever rights I say you got. It's just like classic. But he kind of like does this weird about face right away where he knows who he is. He recognizes him from when he was in New York, and he throws him in the jail. And right away, Bronson gets in a fight with the guy. And then we meet the gang leader, the guy that's going to turn out to be the leader of the punks.
His hairstyle is awesome. Fraker.
Yeah, Gavan O'Herlihy. He is so awesome in this.
He's awesome.
He's a perfect guy to be this role. And yeah, you got it's like the reverse mohawk, like the shaved strip down the middle.
I love, so first of all, they have like this awesome symbol on their forehead, but I love how for him, he has the shaved hair, reverse mohawk, like you said, down his whole head, and then he's got the red line
stripe,
continues. It's just like, it's like you're such a doofus, but like I love it.
He's a perfect creep though. Like
he is.
He's got these great looks throughout the movie where the camera will like go on him and he'll just like do something crazy with his face or his eyes or whatever, like give an intense look at the camera and stuff.
Yeah.
He's just perfect as the leader of these creeps. But so he's in the cell with Bronson, and he's like, I want to move on that guy in the corner. And then like, I guess he's got a few guys in the jail with him, and they start beating up Charles Bronson, and he gets in a good shot on him.
Right.
And then they're like, hey, Fraker, you're out, man. He's like, if I was in here still, I would have killed you. He's like, I don't lose or something. What does he say? I always win. Something.
I always win. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and then it turns out, like, I guess he's got a squeaky clean record.
Yeah. Somehow wait, how does he have a squeaky clean record and he's in the jail right now?
I don't know, but like, they don't really go into it very much because you don't really need to, but, so he's the leader of this gang. He obviously must have to answer to like a higher organization, I would assume, because with the lawyer and always having money to pay him off, it just seems like way too organized for him.
Which is funny because they don't seem like the organized type of gang, really. Like
that's what I mean. Like he must have to, like he must be like a lower level boss.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Which makes sense because later in the movie he makes a call to get more guys sent to his neighborhood that he can use. Yeah. So yeah, I guess he is part of some network of some kind. But I
don't know. This is because he even says like, "Oh, if you want to find me, this is my area."
Yeah.
Of the city, come find me. It just so happens to be the area.
Of course, works out perfectly. So then Ed Lauter comes to him, even after like giving him all this shit and like punching him and stuff in the face. Then he's like, all right, I'm going to put you on the streets, but you work for me. He's basically like telling him, go out there and kill these scumbags because I need the area cleaned up and my cops aren't going to do it.
And this is what's so great about this movie because it's like, so the city is such like scumbag, dirty. You got all these criminals, but the cops are just as bad. Like,
yeah, or at least inept. Like, we don't get any real scenes of like the cops are dirty, which I would assume that, some of them are, but it doesn't really have scenes about showing that. It's more just like they are ineffectual. They're really bad at their jobs, They're like, listen, we have to follow the rules. We can't do that. Yeah. So then Bronson goes back to the neighborhood. He meets Martin Balsam's character. Martin Balsam, by the way, a real actor from real movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Like fucking Psycho, 12 Angry Men, Breakfast at Tiffany's, All the President's Men, like all these real movies. Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3. He's like living in the building. these like, there's some people that live here that are like seniors or just like people who don't have money to move away kind of thing.
Yeah, they're just regular people.
Yeah, and so they're kind of under siege from this terrible punk gang, and he makes friends with this guy right away. This guy was friends with his friend that he had been coming to visit.
Yeah.
And so he starts kind of getting the lay of the land from him and figuring out who's who and what's going on. And like, oh, well, there's that guy is the giggler. we meet the giggler.
I fucking love the giggler.
One of the gang members who, does these like snatch and run, kind of grab a purse and run the street. And every time he does it, he like starts giggling.
Fuck, I love when he actually finally blows him away. And then after the gang's all hanging out, and the one guy's like, they killed the giggler. They killed the giggler. And he says it a couple times, and it's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And also I love the neighborhood reaction to the giggler getting
They're like, yeah.
He's gunned down in the street. And then they're just like, yeah, like they're throwing a fucking block party. Because he does this to everybody. He just
exactly.
snatches their shit. But the way that stuff really starts popping off with the gang is like, first he meets this like older Jewish couple that live downstairs. I love that they live in the fucking basement of this apartment. Did you notice that?
No. I thought it was just the first
he like
floor.
Goes down the stairs when he comes in to go down to their like underground apartment.
Okay.
This is a lovely building that they're living in.
Yes.
And he's having a nice dinner with them. But he, meanwhile, has gone and he's bought a car from a used car lot, and then he's parked it out front.
Bait.
And the guy's like, yeah, what are you doing? And he's like, that's bait. And then, of course, he hears them breaking into it. He's like, excuse me. He like stands up from the dinner, goes outside. These guys are like breaking into the car, stealing the stereo and stuff. And he's like, what's the problem? And they're like, we're stealing this car. What the fuck, man? What do you care? He's like, well, it's my car. And they're like, well, fuck off or you're going to die kind of thing. And he just pulls out his gun, very nonchalant.
Yeah.
Shoots them both dead. And then just leaves their bodies laying in the street and goes back inside. And he's like, I'm sending a message.
That's the thing with Bronson, like in this movie, he has no emotion.
Yeah.
Like none.
Well, they're not paying him enough to have emotion. I mean, that's a whole other level.
I know, but it's just like, it's so funny because he's like the exact same the whole movie.
Yeah.
And like, even when you have that horrible love interest thing where you're like, okay, obviously the woman's gonna die. Like, why the fuck would she?
Every movie.
Why the fuck would she take a taxi out to ask him out? Like, it's so stupid.
Yeah, so that's his lawyer, his like provided lawyer, court provided lawyer. And she's like trying to get him to sue the cops when she gets him out at the beginning.
So I find it hilarious when she dies because like he goes in to pick up mail and the gang like punches her, knocks her out, and then puts it into neutral, rolls it down the hill.
Rolls down the street. It crashes,
blows up. Bronson runs down the street, it blows up, and he just looks and he looks and then he looks back, and then it's just kind of like, yeah, well, fuck it.
You didn't get the real
like,
melancholy there.
He's
just like, well, this has just happened to me so many times. I mean,
he's just like,
numb. He's numb to it.
Like, I mean, it would have been better if he was like, fuck, stupid. Of course they were going to do this. Yeah, you think I would learn.
You think I would learn by now. Every woman in my life is brutally killed. At least they didn't rape this one first, like in the first two movies.
Or he should have said, listen, I'm not interested. Everyone I get in a relationship with dies.
Yeah, that would have been the realistic way to go.
Or
he's immediately interested, and like she wants to go out on a date with him for some reason, even though he's like 65 years old or something.
Yeah.
And they have like one date, and then the next date they have sex.
I know.
It's classic.
That's how it works.
It's classic stuff. I love. She's like, "You want to come over? I'm gonna make chicken." He's like, "Chicken's good."
It's so funny. It's so. And then, she's like, oh, I like sports. I like watching football, basketball. And he's like, I like the opera.
And she's like,
and
really?
Then she's like thrown off by that. And he's like, just kidding.
It's such a funny role, like weird role for her. I mean, I guess they try to give her a little personality, which is more than you can say for some of these kind of movies, but she doesn't have a lot to do before she's unceremoniously murdered.
Yeah.
And that should just be like, we're really stoking the fires for vengeance at this point. But it's like you're saying, it's just kind of like, okay, one more reason I gotta kill these fucking guys.
I mean, he was already gonna kill them all.
Yeah, he was already.
Right? So it's not like...
Now we really want him to kill them.
Yeah, but it's not like...
It's just the canon formula, you know? You gotta have these things. I know,
but a typical formula would be, okay, all the stuff happens at the beginning. He meets the girl. You know, the leader's like, oh, okay, well, I know how I'm gonna get back at him. He's gonna kill the girlfriend. And the whole time, he just keeps saying, listen, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to get involved. You know, I've been down this road. I don't want to get involved, right? And then, of course, he has to get involved. Yeah. But no, he shows up and he's ready to wipe all these people out.
Let's go.
Like, you know what I mean? That's why the relationship doesn't fucking matter. You don't need it because
it's just one more thing.
He's just on a rampage.
But it is funny.
It's funny. I don't think it's intentionally funny, but it is funny.
It is, though, when you're watching this kind of movie and all the, like, you see them hitting all the beats that they think they need to hit kind of thing.
This is one of those movies where they're not intentionally trying to be funny at anything, really. It's played straight, the whole movie.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit. Like, he's got some one-liners after he kills some guys, and there's a little bit of stuff, but not much.
I guess, not much. Yeah. I mean, I would have upped the ante, like...
You always would.
I mean, you just gotta lean into it, but, you know, part of the charm of, like, these types of movies is how straight they play it, but how ridiculous it is.
Absolutely.
Right? So, there's a thing to be said for that, which makes it somewhat more enjoyable.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to a lot for this kind of thing. For me, like it's hitting a sweet spot in that area, right? Yeah. So we have him. He gets this gun that he in the mail. He sets up a post box.
I'm waiting for whatever Wilson
or whatever Wilkie or whatever the name is, and he's like, my friend is coming, and they keep thinking like there's some guy coming to help him.
He's really fast.
Yeah,
he'll catch him.
Yeah, and then it comes in the mail, and it's this like hand cannon, this like ridiculous huge gun, and someone's like, oh, isn't that just like a whatever 44 Magnum, which I think is the Dirty Harry gun, right? And it has to be better than that, right? So it's like, no, this one fires like rounds that for killing big game or something. It's like this ridiculous handgun. I wonder what John would have thought of this lovely gun.
I mean, it's not practical.
No.
At all. It's clunky. He drops it. He drops it at one point.
Yeah, one of the first times he's using it, he drops it.
Right, which is just kind of like a good example of why it just doesn't make sense. But I get it. You want to...
It looks great.
And I like how he's like, yeah, these bullets, it blows people up.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as it hits.
Tears them apart.
Like, sweet.
He uses it on the giggler, and then... I think that scene you were saying where they're like, man, the giggler, he killed the giggler.
They killed the giggler.
And Gavan O'Herlihy's character is like, man, they had no right to do that. No right. Like somehow he's like righteously angry. The giggler never did anything to anybody. He was one of the top nicest guys you could ever meet.
All he wanted to do was giggle.
Just got his giggles. So they go after Bronson, and they got he makes him chase him, like follow him.
Yeah,
Fraker makes him follow him. I like that scene where he's like keeps pausing and like turning back to watch him, and like, all right, now I'm going in between in these alleys.
I mean, it's obvious. Like, what are you doing?
Of course,
Bronson?
It's a setup. Obvious.
It's a setup.
And immediately, like he gets tackled and like drops his gun in the pile of garbage in the alley, and so then he's like got to be running and having a little chase with these guys.
I'm surprised he went back and found it. It would have been better.
He just walks back and finds it.
It would have been better if the main villain got it.
Yeah, and even though I'd seen the movie before, that's what I was thinking was going to happen. Even rewatching it, I was like, oh yeah, he's going to pick up the gun. Nope. Yeah, no, he gets it back. He goes and he is able to take out these guys. Like, he's so old at this point, and he's just able to like kill these young dudes without too much trouble. Like, he's always just give him a sock. Yeah, there you go, socko. Like,
Yeah.
Bang.
Yeah.
You're down. But yeah, he's just able to like beat up these much younger, more athletic punks and stuff.
I mean, I buy it because he's just like a trained assassin of some kind. He's so tough.
He's not a trained assassin. He was an architect in the first movie.
Oh, was he?
And
I don't know. I thought he was a military guy.
And a soft liberal, you know.
A soft liberal.
That was his character in the first film.
He's just a
killer of men.
He was a soft liberal that turns to like hard right.
Yeah, he realizes you gotta you can't fuck around with these people. You gotta just
kill them. Okay.
So yeah, he gets in a fight. He ends up on the roof. And that one guy chases him, and he like tosses him off. We didn't mention Alex Winter. He's one of the gang members that is Bill from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and he's gone on to be a filmmaker himself. He makes like documentaries and stuff.
Okay.
And he made this really awesome movie in the 90s called Freaked that is just crazy. It's got Keanu in it too, actually. But yeah, he does I think he just did a documentary about YouTube or something. He does a bunch of interesting stuff.
Yeah,
he's a really smart guy, but it's funny to see him here just as one of those scuzzy.
Well, he's like one
wastoids.
of the three of the main guys, other than the main villain.
Yeah, other than Fraker. Yeah,
he's always hanging out with the giggler.
Yeah, on the street. But then there's the other people in the building too. Like there's like the Hispanic guy and his young wife that Bronson saves when she gets attacked in a scene in the parking garage and stuff.
Yeah, and then she gets raped and murdered.
She gets raped and murdered because somebody's got to get raped and murdered in these movies.
This is where I found it funny. Like, but on the phone, I was told it was just a broken arm.
Yeah, it's the weirdest scene.
What?
Yeah, so
now she's dead.
Yeah, it's like Bronson's like, oh, it sounds like she's gonna be okay. Like, let's go down to the hospital, and he drives the guy down there, and then they're like, oh, sorry, Mr. Rodriguez, she's dead.
From a broken arm?
He's like, I was told on the phone it was a broken arm. He's like, yeah, some blood clots developed and went to her heart. It's like, what? Oh, man. So amazing. It's like so ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous.
So there's another one. Let's throw one more. But I think, we almost get like a Magnificent Seven thing here by the end of the movie where the neighborhood comes together to fight back.
Totally. Well, it's very much a Western.
Yeah.
Right.
Comes into town
stranger comes into town overrun by, a gang, and
nobody's willing to do anything about it.
Exactly. So
for sure. And of course, Bronson, a lot of experience with Westerns.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like, obviously he was in a lot of classic movies back in the day, like in the 60s and stuff, and war movies, Westerns.
Yeah.
Those are better movies, a lot of those, Once Upon a Time in the West and The Dirty Dozen and all these things. But this might be my favorite Bronson movie because it's just so much.
It's a lot.
And as we get to the end, it just goes insane. But I'm just trying to think if there's any other really good moments of things that happened before that, because there's a lot of incidences of him going in and taking out one or two of them here and there, kind of thing, picking them off.
Yeah, I mean, I like all these little booby traps he sets up with the nails sticking out.
Oh yeah, the boards.
Or the boards, and this the two front teeth are stuck in the board.
Those are teeth.
It's just kind of funny.
Yeah, that stuff's good, and that even comes into play in the final sequence too. One of those traps, because I think he teaches the neighborhood people to do it themselves and stuff. And then I love the neighbor people are just like, we're fucking sick of this. They've all got themselves a gun because they need to protect themselves from these scuzz buckets.
Yeah.
But the Fraker character, he just acts with complete impunity. He doesn't think anything could possibly happen to him or his gang.
Yeah.
At any point, they're just allowed to do whatever the fuck they want. But they start really fucking with the neighbors and trashing their stores. They throw a bunch of like, what do they throw in that guy's hardware store windows? Like grenades or like Molotovs?
They throw some Molotov cocktails like into Bennett's taxi shop.
The editing in this movie is so funny too, because it just doesn't, it's very choppy. It's like we just cut to Bennett reacting to his taxi stand blowing up. There's no like preamble like, oh, we heard somebody threw a bomb in there or something, or we don't even see them throw the things.
No, it's
just like
fire.
Boom, and he's like, that's my cab stand, that's my cab stand. I love all that stuff. But Bennett gets like, they beat him up and they don't they throw him off like the fire escape and kick the shit out of him?
He tries to use the machine gun. That was Bronson's buddy was hiding these. He had these machine guns.
Well, yeah, he has this huge like
Arsenal.
gun that you're supposed to set up with like a tripod, turret thing. It's not something that you carry around unless you're Rambo.
Yeah, unless you're Arnold or something.
Right. But, 70-year-old Bronson carrying that thing around in this movie.
I mean, I love it when, so he's shooting the gun and then... the
Hispanic guy's carrying the bullets like so that
in a box.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
That part's great. That's when the shit really hits the fan, because I can't remember where Bronson comes back from. I think they come back from the hospital after his wife is killed or just dies from her broken arm. And he's all in now. He's going to help Bronson take the guys out and stuff. So they have that huge machine gun that they're just walking around the neighborhood. Like they just pop out and they're like all the gang. There's a whole bunch of them out in the street. There's so many of them. And
I know. Especially when he calls to get more people.
Yeah, he's like, send in more. I need more heat. Like, I already thought that it already seemed like there was like 300 guys in this gang.
I know.
Like, there's that scene where when he first gets out of jail and he goes to like their hideout, which is just some fucking derelict building, and then the one guy is like doing deals there, drug deals or stuff.
Well, he's like, "What did you bring me?" And it's like it's a bunch of like juveniles that are like, look what I gotta watch. I gotta this.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is what they're.
You gotta start raising them up, young, like.
I know, but they're like 20-something-year-old. Like, it's like, this is what you got. You gotta watch. You got like, come on, you need to get me more than this.
But that guy is like, oh, Fraker, we didn't know you'd be out so soon. And it seems like he's just doing the business that should be done while the guy's
he's
gone.
Just continuing.
But Fraker is like, pulls out a knife and kills him like,
hey man, he's a leader.
This is a pig sticker and you're getting stuck or something like that.
This is a pig sticker.
But like, why is he mad at that guy? Just, I guess he tried to take over for something.
How about you and your boyfriend?
I think he says like, you told me to like run stuff while you were gone. And he's like, did I? I don't know. I'm confused. Did you?
I know, but that's like 80s villain. Like that's perfect.
There's no like reason for it. Just
and then everyone else is like, yeah,
Frick was back. Our friend is dead, but who cares?
Who cares?
Life is cheap.
Leader.
So anyway, he's blowing guys away. I love that the Hispanic guy he's got a shotgun that's like this like bootleg.
It's like a one shot.
It's like a one shot like zip gun. It's like two pieces of pipe where you put together and it works like a shotgun somehow. It's like the most like ghetto gun I've ever seen, which I guess makes sense for this movie, right?
I mean, it's fantastic.
I mean, why doesn't Bronson give him like at least that little .38 pistol or something to use? He leaves that at home in the sock drawer. He has to go get it later. It's like, I guess I didn't think I would need it when I had this giant machine gun and this giant hand cannon. But this scene, things just go wild. Like, he comes out with that thing, shoots like 20, 30 of them in a crowd.
Yeah.
And they all start running off. And then they're just like roaming through the streets, finding groups of them and blowing them away.
Yeah. And then the whole town kind of gets in on it too then, right?
Yeah, that's when they all start like, let's fight back.
And they all start coming out. Like, it's the classic, like the bad guys are coming let's all go inside. Everyone closes all their doors, all their windows, right?
Yeah.
Well, now is the time where everyone's opening their windows, opening their doors.
He's emboldened them.
Yeah,
to,
and they're like, no, this is our town. We killed the giggler. He killed the giggler. Let's go.
Yeah.
You know?
They got some spine here. But this turns into like an all-out war. Like the cops, they send cop cars in. The gang is having shootouts with the cops and with Bronson in different areas of this neighborhood.
Yeah.
And like cars are getting blown up and just like shit is going nuts. Buildings are on fire. It's like a full blown.
And that's when you get the inspector shows up.
Yeah, he shows up to help him.
And he just starts mowing people down too.
That's what he's always wanted to do. This is his dream.
It is his dream, really, because like Bronson's doing what he wishes he could do, and now he's just like, he was living through Bronson,
Yeah,
but now
he was vicariously living through him.
But now he can like join in. I mean, it's awesome.
He seems so happy about it too. He's just like, yes, this is the best. Getting the scum off the streets.
Because at the end, he's like, I'll buy you some time. You got to get out of here.
Yeah, like lets him run, right? Which is funny because the first meeting between them, it seems like he's going to be like the asshole that fucks with him through the whole movie.
Yeah.
But then they just kind of quickly flip that immediately. Yeah. Oh, they bring him in another time in the movie too. He gets they're like protective custody and they arrest him.
Well, he wants him to give him a bust or something to make it look good, right?
Yeah, which he isn't really. He's just going in and killing them. He's supposed to let him know, like, oh, hey, send your guys down here and bust. But he's just like, no, just kill them all. What does he say? He's like, no, there's no point. Like once you start, they're like cockroaches. You gotta kill them all.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you definitely have that thread throughout the movie where he has to stomp on some cockroaches.
Yeah. It's just, it's so good. So anyway, I love seeing all these punks get mowed down. I don't know do we actually see Alex Winter get killed? I don't remember seeing him specifically.
I don't remember seeing him.
It feels like he should have had like a moment where we got to see him get killed.
Yeah.
Specifically. But, they're mowing guys down. They run out of bullets for the big machine gun.
Right.
And so then Bronson switches to his giant fucking pistol and he's just going around. And I love that every one of these situations is kind of the same. He'll come around a corner, there'll be 2 or 3 guys. They'll all be shooting at him. Pew, pew, pew. He's not getting hit. And he takes his time and he squares up and he aims and then bang, bang. Like he just blows each one of them away. Yeah.
I mean, it's classic, right? Like he has no like hand-to-hand fighting skills.
Yeah.
All he does is shoot, and he has endless bullets.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of...
Well, he does run out of bullets, actually. He runs out of bullets for that gun eventually, too, because the sequence is kind of long. Like, it's like a 15, 20-minute war scene.
That's true. It is full-on war.
Yeah. Like, the streets are on fire, fucking people getting mowed down
Think
everywhere.
about how many bodies are there.
Oh, and I love, like, Fraker goes to that one building, and, like, you know, like we were talking about some of the people are fighting back. So, like, that one guy comes out of his door. Like, one guy, punk, tries to go in a door, and as soon as he opens it, like, the guy blows him away with a shotgun. And then Fraker and them, they, like, throw fire bombs in the people's apartment, and old people, and they, like, come running out on fire.
I know.
And then he just mows them down with an Uzi. It's like...
Yeah, he's like, why don't you die already?
I'm like... it's so good. It's just like so over the top. I'm surprised they didn't have him like shooting children or something in this movie. Because the other thing is that it's not really very gory. Like there are some squibs here and there. There's a lot of times where they don't even bother with squibs.
Yeah,
they're like, so many guys are getting shot where we can't afford to like put them on all these guys.
I do like the fight, like those people being on fire, because I wasn't expecting that in this type of movie. But I was like, you know what? Props.
He just mows them down with his Uzi at the thing. Yeah. But there's another scene with the board where the guy tries to go into someone's house and the board is like a huge nail. It goes right into his forehead and kills him and he falls backwards. There are some great fucking, and by great I mean awful dummy falls. In this movie.
I love all those falls because it's like the dummy just like starfishes and like the arms go straight.
Yeah.
and then it's just like some, you know,
or it's like bent at the waist and it just falls like straight down without moving at all, like plump.
I kind of like it because it's just like that little bit of charm of like, yeah, sure.
And you got to remember, we were watching these movies on VHS. We didn't have these fucking resolutions like we have now.
Right.
You could get away with some of that shit a lot easier.
You just imagine that, like, they're setting all this up. They're like, it's not going to look real. Don't worry about it. It'll look real. Nobody will notice. It's okay. There's too much going on. This shitty quality. It's all right.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Nobody cares. And they didn't really.
No, not really.
So there's a bunch of more gang stuff. The cops are flying over with a helicopter, and they're, you know, it's like the riots, and we see the Jewish couple watching it on TV. Like, let's watch it on the news.
Yeah.
As it all takes place outside. But then Fraker sees Charles Bronson running across the street, and he like follows him and tries to like, he knows he's going back to his buddy's apartment.
Right.
Which we learn he's doing to go get the 38 out of the drawer because he's out of bullets for everything else. Like, you can't pick up a gun from one of these guys.
I know, exactly.
That he killed. Anyway, so silly. But then Ed Lauter's character comes to, the cop. They're both there. Fraker comes in through the window, and Bronson shoots him a bunch of times, and we're like, okay. And then, oh, no, Fraker's like, I got a bulletproof vest on, just like you. And he's got the drop on both of them. He's already shot Ed Lauter's character. And they've got him propped in the chair. And he's like, you can't kill both of us. And he's like, oh, yeah. And he like turns to point the gun at him. And then Bronson pulls out a fucking rocket launcher from behind the couch.
I love it.
And blows him away out the fucking front of the building. Like, imagine shooting a rocket launcher in a room like that. I don't think anyone is going to live.
No. That is amazing.
Yeah, what a way to take out the bad guy.
And I love how, so like after his like corpse is on the ground on fire, and then I guess his girlfriend, who's the leader now?
I guess.
Because she comes over and the gang comes over and they're like, she kind of like puts her arms up like, whoa, we're
going to have peace.
We're going to have peace.
She didn't say that, but
that's basically what she's saying.
It's so funny. And they're like, fine. And they like drop their chains and their clubs and whatever else. And they leave. Bronson has saved the neighborhood. They come in, they're like crying, and they're like, oh no. Like, how do they even know that it's Fraker? It's just a bunch of burning nothing out in the street.
Yeah.
The whole front of the building is blown out, like from the top, that floor.
Yeah.
And it's just his body just like burning up whatever's left of it. I wonder what would be left of it when you're shot with a rocket from like 5 feet away.
I like it. I like how it ends like that.
It's great. I mean, that's the perfect use of a rocket launcher, in my opinion, in a film.
Totally. So some interesting trivia is, I guess part of the establishing shots are from New York in the beginning.
Yeah.
But most of the film was done in London.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I did not know that. I wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah. And
because it looks like scuzzy New York City.
Yeah. And apparently there was supposed to be a scene with Alex Winter where Bronson was gonna beat him up and hit him with a lead pipe, but Bronson basically didn't want to do it because
he just didn't want to show up for shooting that day.
No, he said, I can't hit this kid. He looks like a fucking choir boy. I'm going to lose my audience.
Oh, too baby-faced.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know that anyone watching Death Wish 3 would have been offended by that.
Well, so like, was Death Wish 3 in theaters?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it had a theatrical release, yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I don't think it was bringing in money like Death Wish 1 was, but...
right.
But, you know, so what happened was the original Death Wish was not a canon movie. It was like a bigger studio movie. And then I think they picked up the rights somehow, and, you know, they made 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
4 and 5, by the way, also pretty fun, especially 4. So maybe one day we'll get around to those. But
I do want to talk about the sequels and the remake, but apparently the gun, so the Wildie, the Wildy 475 Magnum hand cannon. Okay. Apparently that was Bronson's personal gun. And he suggested
We're going to use it in the movie.
using it in the movie because it'll make the movie unique.
Yeah.
Apparently, every time the movie was shown on cable TV, that gun, the sales like skyrocketed.
Oh, wow. You got to have
Isn't
one
that
of those.
hilarious?
You need one of those at home.
Yeah.
For home protection.
Yeah. Did you see the Bruce Willis?
I never got around to watching it. Eli Roth directed it, yeah.
Like, I almost want to watch it just to know.
Yeah,
Like, I hear it's shitty, but...
Yeah, I've always had that in my mind. Like, at some point, I got to watch that thing.
Because, like, are the sequels basically the same concept? Like, did you have you watched them all?
I've watched them all, yeah. Yeah, more or less. Like, it's just him. He goes to whatever town.
Yeah.
He's got a love interest. Things don't go well for them.
Right.
He starts fighting whoever it is. I think I'm trying to remember which one. One of them, he specifically is fighting Italian mafia guys. I think maybe that's the fifth one.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah,
Is he in all of them?
He's in all 5 of them.
Oh,
Not
wow.
the remake. of
Well,
course.
obviously not the remake.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think he's like, the last one, I think he's like 75 years old or something.
Hey, whatever.
In the 5th one. So.
It's in a wheelchair.
Well, I remember there was like a Simpsons gag where they were like doing a trailer and it was like Death Wish 5,000, and then it showed him in a hospital bed and he's like, I wish I was dead.
Nice. I don't know. I think like if you were to make this movie, like if I were remaking the movie or I was going to make a movie that paid homage to this or like to the Death Wish franchise, I would probably do something like a mix of Death Wish, Dread, and The Raid.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like
the tenement building, but the whole movie takes place in like one.
It takes place in the complex and he's trapped in there.
Yeah. I mean, always a fun setup.
But it, and it's the whole thing of like, I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me, right?
Right.
And the gang leader can be like, you got a death wish or something. But, you have that kind of concept and you can like, he can set up booby traps kind of similar to what he does in this. And I don't know, it would just be fun. Because it's basically what's happening. Like they're in a certain community and it's like a monster in the house. The house is the community. And I like it because it's like, who's the monster? Is it the gang or is it Bronson?
Bronson, yeah.
Right. So,
although I'm not sure the movie has the subtlety to ask that. But,
no, I know.
But you
I
end
know
up asking
that.
yourself that.
I'm asking.
He like unleashes so much violence towards
Right.
these people, and he likes it, right? Like this is what he gets off on now: is going around and killing these people, these scumbags.
I mean, they should have had like the main villain. They should have shown a scene where he like goes back to his like rundown hangout and he's like playing with his kid. And it's like, so like this guy's just
what's gonna happen to little Timmy now that Fraker's dead?
This guy's just trying to support his family.
You don't really see the other side, the human side. I think that's precisely what they avoid doing in these movies.
I know.
James.
I think it's hilarious, but
well, you got to write it.
And Bronson just kills the kid because
He kills the kid too. You should kill the kid first and be like, "That's." You make him watch.
yeah, payback's a bitch.
You tie him to a chair and make him watch. Should have thought of that when you were killing everybody on the street.
Oh man, I love it.
Can't let him grow up to be just like you. No more Frakers.
No more Frakers. Yes.
Shit.
Anyways, should we get to the ratings or?
Yeah, I think we covered pretty much everything. I mean, I love the way everything looks in this movie, the neighborhood, the punks. It's all just so 80s trashy. Love that stuff.
And like, I love the decision to have their sign on their forehead.
Although I don't even think they ever even say what is the name of the gang. They never really get around to that.
No, we're the Red Line 2- gang.
Yeah. They got a symbol, but we can't be bothered with a name. But yeah. All right. Well, I guess I'll go first this time. I got plot at a 6. I got action at an 8. Pacing 7, quotes and tropes 6, and my reaction is an 8. So my overall score ends up being a 7.
Nice. Yeah, I got plot 6, action kills 8, pacing 6, quotes tropes 6. My reaction's 8, overall 6.8. We're pretty much the same.
Yeah, it's pretty high.
So overall score 6.9.
I mean, this is trash, let's be clear, but it's like the best kind of trash, at least to me. Like this
this is definitely fun trash. All right, 6.9, is that what I said?
Yeah, 6.9.
That's a big old tie.
Oh, here we go.
We got at 67, we got Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
They Live.
Oh, wow.
Full Contact.
Oh, wow.
Drug War.
Right.
Nobody. The Taking a Pound 1, 2, 3. The 1974 version. Riders of Justice.
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
Stone Cold.
Stone Cold's still down there.
Battle Royale.
Oh, these are all good movies.
Predator 2.
Also classic.
Vanishing Point. And The Hidden.
Wow. All fun movies. You're going to give it to me again because that's too many movies.
Okay.
I knew where I was going to slide it in, but I got to hear the list again here.
Okay, so Lethal Weapon, They Live, Full Contact, Drug War.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Nobody.
So that was the point for me. I think it was like after Full Contact, before Drug War. But that's where I would put it. What do you got something in mind?
I would put it...
The problem is, like, I think you would put it ahead of Drug War, but you would put it after Predator 2 and Stone Cold and stuff like that.
Exactly.
And so would I. I mean, I would put it after Stone Cold as well, but because the list is the way that it is, I don't know.
Yeah, well, to me, Drug War shouldn't even be this high at all.
It's a really well-made movie. It is a good movie. It's just, it's not really an action.
It's not an action movie.
Yeah.
I would put it behind Predator 2.
Yeah.
In front of Vanishing Point. So, yeah. So I'm going to have to figure this out. You said you would put it behind Full Contact?
Yeah. I had a Drug War.
Okay. So.
I mean, I don't actually like it more than Stone Cold. I'm not even sure I like it more than Predator 2, to be honest. But it's just the way the list is laying. Like, I want it to be ahead of Drug War. I can't put it ahead of those other movies like Full Contact and stuff. Those are great movies. Lethal Weapon obviously is a classic movie,
right?
Which is actually probably too low on the list, but let's not get into that.
Okay, so basically, it's tied with Riders of Justice.
Oh, okay.
So. Would you put it ahead or behind Riders of Justice?
Well, it's not anywhere near as good a movie as Riders of Justice, but I think
but like action-wise,
as an action movie, I would put it ahead.
Okay, so it'll go ahead of Riders of Justice, right behind the Taking a Pound 1, 2, 3. So new number 73.
Okay, can live with that
on the hit list.
On the huge list.
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks. So there you have it. New number 73. But what do you think about Death Wish 3? Hit me up on Instagram. Let me know. Action Podcast. But thanks for joining us. We got to hurry up and kill this episode so that we can start recording another one. We had a good time. But check us out on Instagram, like I said. Check out our Letterboxd Action to see what our list is, how that's always growing and changing. Check us out on Patreon, Action. If you want to sign up, you can make us watch the movies you want to hear reviewed. What kind of bullshit do you want us to watch? So check us out on there, and make sure you check out the BFOP Network and all the other shows, and we'll catch you later.
Bye.
He's got scallions.